I was on a call with a mentee lately, and this question came up of what do you do when you have one of those moments in class and a student throws a paper ball across the classroom. They get up out of their seat, they're talking to someone on the side, they are doing something, and when you call them on it, their answer is, all I did was, right? So those moments can catch you off guard, can make you feel awkward. There's a lot here that I want to kind of break down in as quick a session as I can, but it is this idea that I think we've all dealt with where you can start second guessing yourself, and there's a lot of problems wrapped up in this. So what will you do when a student says, all I did was, and you're not really sure what to do with that? So the first thing, I think, I forgot my glasses, so I might be having to do a little bit of this. We've all been there, but when a student does this, I think part of the problem is it stops the lesson in its tracks. So you went from you're teaching, you're flowing, you got this great lesson, you're moving along, and then dead in its tracks stops the lesson, right? And the problem there is you're killing the momentum, you're killing the vibe, you're killing students' ability to pay attention to what's going on. And sometimes your vibe is everything in class. You work to create that classic opener, something that kids are going to want to show up to do, something kids are going to want to show up to learn. You build it in the day before, and then something happens to upend that. It's trying to figure out how to get out of that quickly. And I'm going to talk to you about how I've done that and how I've found success in that as well. The other issue is that sometimes when this not sometimes, this happens all the time. I don't know what kind of eyeball that was, but that's an eyeball. You're gonna have to take my word for it. That's a messed up eyeball. When you have this happen, you go from teaching and attention is on you, and that's good. But then when a moment like this happens, all of a sudden all eyes are on you. And in a way where we are not thinking about the lesson, we want to see how you're going to react. How do you react when a student blatantly disregards policies, procedures, school rules, agreed upon systems in the classroom? So I'm not just talking about one of your royal subjects is coming up against against the face of your dictatorship here, but we are learning as a community. And that's a really interesting, that's a point that I want to bring up again later, but we are learning as a community, we are working together as a community with mutual respect, and someone steps out of the lines of that, catches you off guard. Now everyone's watching to see what is the teacher going to do. And so that is something to be mindful of, but that can make you feel really scared. That can make you feel nervous that you're going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, act the wrong way. And I don't want to just gloss over that. I think it's important to acknowledge that feeling, but what you don't want to do is feed into it. And when you have a plan in place, you can skirt around it a whole lot easier. It's having that pain plan in place so that you can know what to do in that moment, so you're not just terrified and standing there like a deer in headlights and you just want to go get in your car and drive home and leave and never come back. And the other thing that I think this does is, one, it makes you start questioning yourself. And that's an issue because kids can sometimes make you feel like this is so dumb, like you're being dumb. You're being stupid right now. Why are you even talking to me like that? Why are you acting like that? All I did was, and when you hear that enough, and when someone says it with such conviction, you go, wait, maybe I am an idiot. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And so I think part of this is building in this pain plan. It's building in this level of confidence that's going to allow you to address these situations, to know exactly what you're talking about, to know why that was a big deal, so you can break it down to a student so that you can move on with life and get on with your lesson. And then the last thing that it does, I think it creates a power struggle. And no one ever needs this kind of thing where we're just punching back and forth and we're going to handle this where it's like tit for tat. I don't know who came up with that saying. It's a weird one, but I don't want to do that. This is not what this time is used for. This time is used for learning So although these situations are going to happen, how do we handle them as quickly as possible? But first, I want to talk to you about how do you not handle these situations, because I think that is, it's not just blaming, and I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I've never tried to say something that's going to make you feel stupid about what you did or feel bad about what you did, but it's identifying those sorts of behaviors and traits that so we can see what doesn't work sometimes helps us to really understand deeply what does work. What you don't ever want to do. So these are like the no's of the situation, right? One, do not have a student talk you into handling something then and there, right? This is, it is sometimes, I don't want to speculate. Sometimes if this is a move on the student's behalf to like how they're going to upend class, how they're going to get all eyes on them and, I'm loving this right now because everyone's looking at me. It's a way to get away from the lesson. It's a way to deflect. So maybe, especially if that student has like a learning disability or something of that nature, it might be a way for me to get your focus on something else. And I'm not interested in that. It's not because I'm not interested in what you have to say. It's because right now is not for that. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But you never want to get into the then and there scenario. The other thing that you don't want to do is I am not interested in that moment. Well, I mean, I won't say ever, but in that moment, I am not interested in who's right. Not even just who's right. I'm not interested in convincing you right now that I am correct. Because again, school is for learning. And although this is a teachable moment, right? Where we can actually impart some knowledge, we can teach some so-called soft skills, which I hate air quotes, and I hate that term because I think soft skills are often more important than whatever other hard skills we're learning. But in having this conversation right now and in trying to make this about me being right, it's just that this is not the location to do this. This is not the time and place to have this conversation. That time is coming, but right now is not that. And the other thing is you want to never, as much as possible, let's make another eyeball. Take two. All right, looks like a piece of bread that's excited. Be visibly angry. And this is way easier said than done. But my mentor, one of my mentors I student taught with told me that teaching is 99% acting. And this is part of what he was talking about. Sometimes there's a lesson you gotta look excited. Sometimes there's a story a kid's telling you about something that his puppy did or whatever, and you gotta act excited. Or they show you that picture that you're not really sure what it is. It might be a Reynolds picture of an excited piece of bread that's really supposed to be an eyeball, and you gotta go, Terry, this looks great. I love this. Could you tell me a little bit more about what I'm seeing here? Sometimes teaching is also acting like you're not aggravated as hell right now, and because you don't want kids to see on your face that today, this moment, leads to a box of wine tonight. You don't want kids to know that situation. So you have to act the part. And when kids oftentimes see you get visibly angry, and how do I know this? Because I was a teenager and I took great joy in this in school. It's, the kid I was isn't necessarily the adult I was in some ways, but it is not letting kids see you get visibly angry, because what happens on that? Then everyone is excited. Then, let's see where this is going to go. Let's see how this is going to play out. So I'm not going to have this conversation then and there. I'm not going to try to convince you that I'm right. And I am by no means going to show you that I'm angry. I just keep it cool. I try and stay as stoic as possible in these situations. And so here's how you do that, right? Because this might seem unattainable, but remember, teaching is a craft. You are building skills to grow you so that you can grow into the version of yourself that you need to be for your students. And so just like anything else that you're doing, whether you're going to the gym, whether you're taking piano lessons, whether you're doing hot yoga or you're learning how to run or something like that, you have to grow into you. You don't just start off and run marathons. You got to grow into that version of you. So let's talk about, the moment we've all been waiting for perhaps is what in the world do you do? So, what to do? I really want to write in cursive. I just want everyone to know this real quick. I really want to write in cursive, but I don't because most of my students can't read cursive, let alone writing cursive, and so I just keep printing. I just don't know why they came to me, but that's ADD in real life right there, kids. All right, so what do you do? One, I need to let a student know what's going to happen now. So if you are, so let me write that down first, right? What is happening now? And this is important because I need you to know not just what's not going to happen, because I don't need to even let you know in the first moment what's not going to happen, how we're not going to play this out. Because as a kid, as a punk, I was like, when you told me to do that, my friends and I were the ones that did the thing you told us not to do, right? So I'm not even going to give you that idea. What I'm going to just tell you is, hey, Aaron, because we know that every my problem children were always named Aaron or Tim a lot of the time. I don't know why. Aaron, right now, I need you to walk back to your seat, sit in it, and then turn your attention to me. All right, that's what's going to happen right now. And so in this moment, you're giving an easy out. This is all you have to do. I'm not saying it in a way that is forceful, that is demanding, that is demeaning, that is rude, that someone's going to take offense to, because I'm not trying to fuel that fire. I'm just letting you know that in the thing we're doing right now, as your coach, I'm letting you know that you got to go back to first base. As your teacher, as you're making this cake, I need you to know that you made a mistake, but we're going to do this right now. That was a weird metaphor, but what we're doing right now is you are going to do this. You're going to take your seat back. You're going to walk across the room and pick up that piece of paper, or you're going to get it before you leave class today. You're going to turn back around in your seat. You're just letting the kid know what you're doing so you can get on with it, right? Now is not the time to have the conversation. Now is the time to get back to the lesson so you can keep as much of that energy, as much of that motivation, as much of that vibe as you can, and keep it moving, right? So that's the first thing. If a student says, no, we're having this conversation right now, and they try to push that forward, they're like, you need to know how I'm thinking and feeling, and it's going to happen right now. I tell students that it's not happening right now. That now isn't the time. However, I do want them to know that what they are thinking and feeling is important to me. And I feel like a lot of educators I've worked with miss this. And I know I certainly missed this when I started teaching. I thought of myself as more as like, I'm running this show. I am managing this class. But managers are different than leaders. Managers keep the status quo. Leaders take you from one place to another. So how do we take students from this place to another place? I think part of that is we are letting kids know that, listen, I do care about, I want you to know, I see you're you're visibly angry with me or upset or whatever. I want you to know, Aaron, that I want to listen to every single thing that you have to think about this and what you're feeling about this. But right now is not the time and place. Why isn't it the time and place? It's not just because we are cooperatively learning in here. It's also because I want to be able to give you my full attention, and I cannot give you my full attention right now. So we are going to talk at this time. That's the next piece, right? Coming off of this, you have to give them the time and place that this is going to happen. That's a clock in case you can't tell. We are going to tell kids the time and place that you want to talk about this. Or just hold them after class. Hey, yo, listen, come talk to me real quick. Or come speak to me after school, during lunch, before school tomorrow. Sometimes kids will come and seek you out. Sometimes kids will forget. If it's a student that you feel like they can forget it and life's going to move on and it's going to be all right, that's up to you. You have to feel that out. But if you know it's a kid that you might have to go be the instigator to have the conversation, that's important. Remember, a lot of students are not used to being asked what they think, what they feel, and are used to being heard. And so this is a skill set that they have yet to practice. It's more like they're just whatever they're thinking and feeling at the moment. I'm kind of like going off the cusp, something like that. You're going off something, right? And so you have to instigate that to talk to students about it. But remember, when you go back, it's not as scary, right? Even though you might feel nervous, you are doing something that is, the kid is calmer. Now they might turn more aggravated when you talk to them, but it's going to be different than in class. And I encourage you to do so, but it is giving them that time and letting them know verbally and by your actions that what you think and feel about what they're doing is important, and that you want to know those sort of things about them. The last thing is this. I think the bottom line with all of this is not really erasing up to my standards. Come on, Samsung. I think that there is a bottom line here, right? This is like what we're trying to convince to students, is that when you have that conversation, it is in some way, shape, or form allowing students to understand that what you did, whatever that was, it's the throwing the paper, it's a talking to a friend, it's a turning your desk around, it's asking someone for something at an inappropriate time, it is whatever it is, right? Is that it wasn't as simple as what you thought it was. Because in fact, in this learning style, this is the only school option many of us have, right? Is that we are learning in a cooperative classroom. We are learning as a community. And so we are, as a community, either helping one another or hindering one another in this classroom. And when we are helping one another, that is wonderful. It's cooperative, it's being a part of a learning community, it's helping others out and getting helped out where you need it. But when you do anything that upends that for students, right? And this might be something like talking during a test or tapping your pen during a test or any of the other examples I kind of gave many times already. What you're doing there is you are oftentimes, unbeknownst to you, hindering someone's ability to learn and to grasp the information. So what does that mean? When you're tapping on your desk, which I did, I've been playing drums since the 4th grade, and this was I would drum on everything. Some kids that have ADHD, it's really hard for them to concentrate right now. Some students that might have dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia are really trying to focus, to use the skills that they've learned to work through this, which is already harder for them. And right now, unbeknownst to you, you are hindering them from that ability to be the best version of themselves on this assignment, on this test, or in this activity. And so when we do that, you chucking a paper ball that bounced off and knocked into someone else. Or my favorite is throwing empty water or juice containers against the trash can. They bounce off, really hit someone, splatter, there's stuff all over the place. You're creating like a disruption now, right? And is it throwing a paper ball that bad? No. But is hindering someone else's ability to be the best version of themselves so they can live a life that they dream of and take care of their family? Is that what's happening? Right now, this is a micro version of the problem that is going to have ripple effects. And yes, that is exactly what you're doing. You are hindering someone else's ability to find success in this moment. So it's not about you, it's about us. And so that's why we don't do these things. And that conversation with students breaks it down in a way that not every kid is going to understand right away. But we're doing a couple of things here. One, we're going deeper than it's because I told you so, or because that's the rule, or because the principal doesn't like it, or the charter says it, or whatever. It's also modeling for students how you handle yourself in times of kind of like mini classroom crises, right? It is walking kids through what it looks like to keep your cool, to handle your business, to figure out, to have a pain plan, to tell someone when you're going to handle something, to then confront that individual if they don't come to you, to be able to have that conversation, to have empathy, to have sympathy, to have compassion for others, and to show that I'm not just telling you I care, I am showing you I care by showing up in this uncomfortable place, having this conversation, and taking the time to break it down for you so you understand. And I think that this, taking what would otherwise be like just yelling at kids or having this whole madness and then telling everyone they got to just shut up and sit there and work quietly, instead, it's the longer way around, but it's the one that's going to bear the most fruit, that's going to have the most payoff. So that's it for this week, gang. If you need anything else from us, you can go right to realrapwithreynolds.com. And look, if your school is looking for a speaker, someone to lead professional development this summer, please hit us up. You go right to realrapwithreynolds.com or email me at realrapwithreynolds@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to have that conversation with you and figure something out. That's it, gang. Those are words that all came out at once. We'll see you next week. Peace.